Hey guys, this is day 47 of Journeying My Life online every single day until I graduate from high school. And in 8 days, I'm going to have a philosophy trial exam. So today I was doing some revision about the material that we learned at the start of the year. And I came across this really interesting thought experiment from philosophy, which I think has applications to our own lives as well. So the experiment goes like this. It's called the Mary's Room. And basically the idea is Mary is the world's greatest color scientist. So if, for example, you give her the color red, she can tell you everything about it. She can tell you, the hue, the wavelength, the shade, those like combination of letters and numbers that are used to describe the exact coloration of a color. So she can give you all of this scientific information. However, Mary is blind. So she's not able to actually see the color or experience it. And basically the experiment is it possible for somebody who is perfectly aware of all the objective factors of a thing, so Mary knowing everything about the color red, to form a subjective experience of that color, forming a experience of the color red, without experiencing it subjectively, without being able to see it for herself. And basically this idea is that it is actually impossible to use objective information to create a subjective perspective. And the reason this is interesting is because when we are talking to each other, like human beings communicating, we are using an objective means of communication to communicate our subjective perspective on things, right? Like as a human being, I can only look at the world in the first person. So for those who don't really know the persons, like first person is POV. So me looking out into the world, or every single person looking out into the world. Second person is me looking at somebody else. And then third person is a like God's eye view kind of perspective. So every single person has only a first person perspective on the world, which means that each of us experiences the world in a different way. I think a lot of people will have heard this, like you can't describe the color blue, or when I see the color blue, there's a good chance that you don't see the same color blue, even though we just agree to call this feeling that it might not be the same between two people, but when we experience the same phenomena, we just call it the color blue collectively. And in the same way, when we're giving advice to people, there's no way for us to know the way that they're feeling or what they've gone. We know what they've gone through, but we don't know how they feel. So we can only prescribe our advice to the objective phenomena of what they've gone through, but not able to prescribe our advice to subjective experience that they had from that objective phenomena. I'll give you more examples because this is a little bit hard to describe. For example, I just went to the gym for the first time ever. And when I went to the gym, my mate came with me. Now, my experience of lifting those weights and my friend's experience of lifting those weights will be completely different, even though we both went to the gym for the first time and did the same program, in the same order, let's say. Right? So even though the objective things are very, very similar, our subjective experience would be extremely different. And to take it even further, say me and my friend were in fact like identical twins or something, then you could even say that our biology was the same, but our experiences could very well be different. So this brings us to a very interesting point, which is that when we are trying to communicate with other people effectively, given that we're describing objective things using subjective perspectives, how can we communicate in a clear and concise way? Because say my experiences around the word, motivation are very different from your experiences around the word motivation. When I'm trying to have a discussion about the idea of motivation to you, I say, this thing really motivates me, and when I'm motivated, I really want to work. And you've maybe read like David Goggins or something, or you just have this bad relationship with the word motivation. Every time you feel motivated, you end up not doing anything. Then you'll be like, that's bullcrap, like when I'm motivated, I don't do anything. So all of this stuff that you're talking about, motivation being useful, helping you work, doesn't do anything. So when we're having this discussion, the first thing we actually really need to do is to define words that we use and ideas that we kind of have about the world, so that we are able to bring our subjective perceptions of this objective idea of motivation as close as possible so that we are able to have a conversation about this idea. Because if we're talking about two different things, even though we're using the same word, then we are semantically the same, but ontologically different. In the sense that we're saying the same stuff, but we don't mean the same stuff. And when it comes to communication, the key, or the first principle around it should be trying to communicate our subjective experience of the world to another person while they try to receive an objective signal to interpret it in the best way for them to understand it subjectively.